Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Briancrombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I want to introduce you tonight to Amy Ford. She is an intuitive energy coach, a psychic energy healer, a certified NLP, neuro-linguistic programming and life coach, a Reiki master, a personal trainer, and she specializes in something called somatic exercises. Wow, that's really quite the list of things that you do. How'd you get into all this, Amy?
I got into all of those through my own personal healing journey. So every modality that I've kind of picked up on the way is something that has really helped grow and just influence my life in a positive way. So I've learned it, and now I'm going out in the world to help heal people now as well with it.
And why did you need to go through a personal healing journey?
For myself, I developed a lot of anxiety, and I've always been very energetically sensitive. And it got to the point where I was agoraphobic. And for those of you who aren't really sure what that is, it means that every time you leave your house, you have an anxiety or a panic attack. So then you don't want to go there, and then you don't want to go there because you panic there, and your world just shrinks and gets smaller and smaller and smaller because every single time you've gone somewhere, you've had a panic or anxiety attack. So now you're just homebound. So I was homebound for between like 5 to 7 years. And every single time I did try to venture out, I would be like in a constant state of like, oh my God, I want to be home. I'm going to die. I'm dying. Or I'd call my friend, I'm having a panic attack. Like it would be a constant state of distress being outside of my house just with tons of anxiety.
You're so articulate.
Overwhelm.
You seem so confident. What caused this 5 to 7 years of agoraphobia?
It was just like in hindsight, it was energetic overwhelm. So I am through my whole healing process, I've kind of discovered that I am a psychic medium, which means I can pick up on a ton of different energies. So if somebody has an energetic sensitivity to overwhelm, when you go into the grocery store, that flood of energy from people, all the people in the store, they're moving around, like all that energy is like kind of flooded. So I kind of get flooded with energy. Like if I go into an airport, oh my gosh, the anticipatory anxiety in the air from everybody traveling. Oh my gosh, everybody's so nervous. You're going on a flight. That like hits me, right?
So it's not your own anxiety, it's anxiety from others that you end up taking into yourself.
Correct. And
Really?
but the hindsight is, so at the time I was not consciously aware that this was happening. I did not understand that this was the connection. I thought it was me. I thought I was broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. I'm anxious. I'm the problem. What do I do? Fix me. Doctors want to medicate. You're anxious. You're over anxious. And it was very overwhelming. And I felt lost and confused. I didn't leave my house.
For
So
5 years, you didn't leave your house.
well, I mean, I had kids, so if I did leave the house, it was very uncomfortable and I wanted to go back. So, and I had my husband at the time, he would do all the errands and I'd be at home with the kids and I'd use them as an excuse to stay home. Like it was just a big thing, right? So, um, when I got separated, and when I got separated, I really needed to find a way to empower myself. I needed to find a way to be able to go to the grocery store, to be able to run errands with my kids. And that's when I stumbled upon NLP and hypnotherapy. So I found somebody who started to do an NLP. So do you know what NLP is, or maybe should I
Why don't you
elaborate on
explain
that?
what LP is?
Okay, NLP is neuro-linguistic programming, and it deals with the conscious and unconscious mind. So we operate through our unconscious mind. Everything that we do is programmed, pre-programmed. Okay, so what NLP does is a way to kind of anchor a more positive associative memory over a negative one or a trigger, or we can disassociate from a trauma, right? So if a trauma is like really close and really loud in our body, then we use an NLP technique to disassociate. So we step back from it a little bit. So now instead of it being right up front, it's like now, like say you're looking through a window. So it just makes it seem a little further away. You can still remember it, but it's not as sharp as the trigger. So this was like the best tool I've ever found. I thought I was going to be broken forever. I was like, I'm never going to leave my house. I'll just camp out here. I'll use Instacart and this is great. But through this tool, I was really able to peel back the layers kind of. So there is a couple layers to the anxiety. You do have your triggers and your traumas, which can throw you into an anxious loop. Okay, so the big part with NLP is removing the traumas and the triggers. Once those are removed, then you realize how sensitive you are to the energies and what energy is coming in that's causing you sensitivity. So now, when I have a meeting with somebody, or if I have a healing session with somebody, about an hour before I meet with them, I get flooded with their energy. Like flooded. I get flooded with how they're feeling. I get flooded and usually it's around their traumas and around what is happening in their body, like medically. Like sometimes I can pick up on anemia or heart issues or just things like that. But I will feel like that. So I'll be like going along my day and I'm like, oh, why do I have so much anxiety? And I'll be like, is this mine? And they're like, no, this is your client. I was like, oh. So I know now what my client is dealing with. So when they get there, I can properly treat them because I already feel like them. So
Really? And so how did this neuro-linguistic programming help you identify what the traumas and triggers were that you had?
that's just through like just having an awareness and an understanding of like what you kind of went through growing up. And the thing is with anxiety and traumas and triggers, it could be something so tiny that happened in your childhood, like not even like a big T trauma. I'm talking like a micro trauma. Like say, for instance, this is kind of how it kind of unravels. Say like you were 2 years old and a little dog came and barked at you and nipped you and it's cute. They're like, oh my God. But like for you as the 2 year old, you're like, oh my God, that was like scary. That dog almost bit me, but it wasn't that dramatic. But your brain kind of starts storing it in your mind. And now all of a sudden you get a couple of years later, you're like, oh my God, there's a dog. And then a couple of years later, you're like, oh my God, a dog. And then all of a sudden you're like 25 or 30 and you're terrified of dogs.
So can you share with us what the trauma was for you?
I mean, there was just a lot of trauma. Like just it was just overarching. It's just like being like sensitive. It's like, oh, I don't even know. I just yeah, there's like I've been a lot of trauma, a lot of trauma. I've been sexually assaulted, um, physically abused, not from my ex-husband. These are all past relationships and stuff like that. It's just a lot of trauma around maybe trusting people I shouldn't have trusted, and going against my intuition. And that's another part of unraveling the whole anxiety thing is we're kind of conditioned to not listen to our intuition. We're conditioned to listen to teachers, listen to parents, listen to everybody else except our inner voice. And some of my biggest resistance and anxiety comes from ignoring my intuition. And then and when you ignore it, then you put yourself into a situation where you do get hurt or harmed or stuff from others.
So I'm very sorry about the sexual and physical abuse. I apologize. But did you find triggers that caused this trauma to reoccur or something?
Well, it's like triggers would be being around men, like, stuff like that. It's like those are the triggers and the traumas. So then you use the NLP to soften it. So it's like fine now, right? It kind of removes it. It's stuff that's happened in my life.
Okay, so let's take a break for some messages and come back and hear from you how the neuro-linguistic programming, the NLP, actually helps you deal with that trigger and the trauma that is associated with the trigger. That'll be fascinating. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be back in just 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm chatting tonight with Amy Ford. She is an intuitive energy coach, a psychic energy healer, a certified neuro-linguistic programmer and life coach, a Reiki master, a personal trainer, and she specializes in something called somatic exercises. Sounds pretty interesting. We were talking a little bit about your sort of personal journey and that you had these traumas and you described and I apologize again that you had to go through this, physical assault and sexual assault in prior relationships. And I guess there were some triggers that was primarily men, and you would get the anxiety and the trauma because of that. And then you said neuro linguistic programming helped you get over that anxiety and trauma about men. How'd you do that? Do you just repeat over and over yourself, men aren't that bad, or something like that? Like, what do you actually do?
No, with the NLP, there's just little techniques, and honestly, it takes 15 minutes sometimes to go through one of them to disassociate the memory. So with whatever happened, you don't even really have to talk through it. You can just, there's like the specific technique to disassociate. And then once the technique is in, you're like, was it really that easy? And all of a sudden you're trying to recall the event. You can still recall it, but the emotional charge is gone. It's just a way to reframe it in your subconscious mind so that it's not as upfront anymore. And this was very empowering for me because I went from shut in my house, right? And I have to say too, it wasn't just those two events. There was like a lot, like, and everybody has trauma. It's trauma through childhood, like being teased, or it's just like everything just kind of piles. And if you're not constantly clearing it out and removing it, then you end up holding all of this anxiety in your body, and then it leads to like dis-ease in your mind, leads to disease in your body, right? So it's important to continue to clear out the traumas.
But I apologize. I still don't understand. How do you clear it out? Like, what does NLP do? I thought it was linguistic. So it was saying something to your brain, neuro-linguistic. What is it?
It's how do you explain it in a way? You're anchoring emotions. So we have this one technique, it's called the swish, right? So we pull up the event that you don't want to remember, or the feelings that you don't want to remember, and we pull up an event that you like and it's happy, and then we basically overlay it on top. And then in your mind, you're kind of like, you have your eyes closed, and it's just reframing all of those emotions and event and just kind of like lightening it. So it's actually, it's quite fascinating. And then there's some like hypnotherapy stuff that you do too to kind of reorganize the subconscious frame in your mind, which is really helpful as well. So I don't know if that helps explain it at all.
How did you find this neurolinguistic programming and hypnotherapy?
Yeah, I found it. I had a practitioner that referred it to me. And then when I saw the benefits and how it was helping me, I learned it. So, and now I've been practicing that for over a year. And I have to tell you that the benefits that I saw, so like at the beginning of this, I mentioned that I didn't leave my house for a really long time. And if I did, I was like super uncomfortable. But the benefits of working with an NLP hypnotherapist and like another intuitive energy healer, I was able to travel the world. I've gone on like 5 or 6 trips. I've been to St. Lucia. Where else I go? Portugal, Vegas, San Diego, Dominican, all by myself, all to do jujitsu trips or competitions to compete around the world. And I'm like empowered, and
you're competing around the world in jujitsu? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
I've been in it for almost 5 years. I have my purple belt, and I've done competitions in Vegas and Portugal, and I want to do more. I love it so much.
So you've gone from someone who was scared to leave the house to someone who's traveling the world doing jujitsu competitions.
Yeah. Yes, that's me.
What do your kids think about this transformation? What does your ex-husband think about this transformation?
I don't know what my ex-husband thinks. I don't talk to him. But my kids think it's pretty cool. I mean, I still feel like they think I'm cringy. They say I'm cringy all the time. But I guess that's the role of the mom, right? But
what do you mean cringy?
I don't know. That's the term that the kids, Mom, you're being so cringy. It's like you're embarrassing me. But it's okay. That's
okay.
Normal kids.
What is hypnotherapy?
Hypnotherapy. It's when you just you get put out in a hypnotic state, so you get taken down to like either alpha or theta brain waves, and it's just relaxing, closing your eyes, dropping into your heart, a nice calm meditative state, and somebody just walks you practice to just I don't know, that's just compartmentalizing some thoughts in ways. So there's different techniques to like just again calm the overthinking.
You mentioned in what you wrote up to me something called inner alchemy. What's that? What's inner
Yeah.
alchemy?
Inner alchemy is kind of like Reiki. Have you heard of Reiki before?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of like Reiki. Um, again, part of being like a psychic and intuitive healer is that I actually am able to tap into the spiritual world, and I get messages from spirits and angels, all kinds of stuff. So when I read energy, I'm able to apply light frequency to disrupt the like when you have traumas, you get like dense energy. So it helps kind of move the energy around through your chakras and through your system to really help uh, increase your vibrational frequency.
And that's inner alchemy.
Yeah, it's inner alchemy. It's just dealing with the inner energy system and making sure that your energy is flowing freely through your chakras. Again, going back to the having dis-ease in the body. If you carry a lot of tension in your solar plexus or in your sacral, which is around your belly button, then that's where a lot of your medical issues will kind of radiate from. So, say if you have constantly a broken heart, people might have heart palpitations or maybe lead to heart attack or angina, right? Like problems with the heart chakra lead to problems with your heart. So, it's things so it's picking up on the tension. I love it.
And how do you pick up on that tension? It just comes to you?
Yeah, it's just intuitive. So yesterday, one of my clients, I read her and I picked up that she had anemic. She was low iron, a gluten allergy. She had 3 vaccines, and it all just comes to me, right? I didn't know anything about her beforehand. It just comes.
Comes from where?
The spirits.
Spirits.
Yeah, yeah, and the spirit guides. Yeah, so I am an intuitive psychic healer. So there's a lot of there's a lot to the work, but it's fun. It's awesome.
How does one become an intuitive psychic healer? Do you have to go to university for that? Do you take a course? What do you do?
Um, I'm getting mentored. I do get mentored all the time, and I've kind of been mentored through it the last 2 years. I think anybody who is in this space would have a mentor anyways, because just to learn how to deal with the energies and stuff like that. And a lot of it is just through, you know, learning how to heal yourself. Everybody has the ability to heal yourself. You have so much power within your body to do self-healing, and to tap into the energies that are all around. Everybody has the ability to pull in any energy you want. If you want your energy field to be filled with light, it can be filled with light. If you want to be angry and ragey, then that's what your energy field will radiate. So you have a lot of conscious choice. And I think what's important is to understand that you do have the choice. You do have the power to heal. You do have the power to change your life. You do have the power to manifest anything you want. It starts with you though. So that's
how do I have the power to manifest anything I want?
Everybody has the power. It's just about removing your limiting mindsets and your inner programming. So a lot of times we grow up in families where, it's like generational, a financial worry. Then if your parents worried about it, then you grow up worrying about it. And then you're going to be cautious with money. But if you can take that program off through NLP and this inner alchemy, then it kind of removes the ceiling. So then you can, but it's very complicated. There's a lot of complex things in it, right? Because you can manifest relationships, work, money, like everything. So, and it takes like a lot of work and a proper mindset, because the minute you have a limiting factor, then you're going to limit your manifesting power.
How do you manifest a relationship?
Well, I haven't tried to manifest a relationship yet, but I know people do, and there are some expert relationship manifestors out there. It's just not something that I have had the bandwidth to try to put my focus on. I've been focusing on healing and working with the body. But I would suppose that if you want to manifest a relationship, you would want to start off by writing down everything that you want in a partner, everything you want in a partner, like all the positive qualities, maybe things that you don't want, and putting it down. And that's your intention. And just opening up your heart to the idea that that person exists and is out there, and living your life like you already have them in your life, like opening up to that love, like opening up your heart chakra to the opportunity to like feel that. Because with manifestation, and I know it's the same for all of the other areas, it's like if you want abundance, you want to manifest abundance, you got to put your focus on already feeling abundance. And then when you start feeling abundance, then it's like, oh, then it's going to come through. But where we kind of get caught up is like, oh, I want a partner, but I don't know where I'm going to meet them, and I don't know if I'm ever going to find them. Then you're already manifesting that block. You're already manifesting, I'm not going to be able to find them.
But don't you need to put some actions in place, like going to the places where you can meet them and doing the things that you'll actually meet them? Like, is this just positive thinking, like in The Secret, that you dream something's going to happen and you think it's going to happen, and it happens, or do you have to actually take action to make it happen?
Well, I mean, if you're not going anywhere, then it might make it a little bit difficult. So obviously, like live your life and do what you're gonna do and open yourself up to opportunities and do all of those things. But it's definitely about having that mindset that it's possible and like holding that vision and that those feelings. It's important to have the feelings of being in that area and that zone already, right? That's the most important part with manifestation, is like really feeling it, right?
Feeling like you're already in that relationship, or you already know that
Yeah.
person, or you already have
Yeah.
that job, or you already have that abundance.
Yeah, exactly. Because where we get stuck is we get stuck in the mud. We get stuck in the ego, like the, oh my God, this is so hard. I don't have it. I don't have the money. I don't have this. This is not working. Guess what? It's not going to work. You got to like, with the inner alchemy and NLP, we can change your mindset just to at least have it open to opportunity, right? And I do a really fun practice. Like, everybody gets tripped up with getting stuck in the mud, I call it. I usually, when I feel that tension and that resistance, or if I feel like I'm grabbing on too hard to the outcome, I'll just throw it up into the air, like into the universe, and be like, you know what? Here, you take the wheel. I'm done with this. Like, just wherever we're gonna go, take me. I'm gonna stop trying to control this, and I just kind of like imagine all of the worries or all of the things that I've been clinging onto, just putting it up to the universe, to spirit, or to whoever you believe in, and then just it kind of like relaxes you as well, because you're not like worrying about that anymore. It's you just believe and trust that it's getting taken care of.
But that's not manifesting. That's not living life with intention. That's sort of que sera, sera. What will be, will be.
Well, that's just a little practice to get you out of that stuck mindset, right? There's like a lot of overarching things and techniques to manifest. It's about applying all of them when you can. And when you find yourself getting stuck, okay, how do I get unstuck? Throw it up. Okay, how do I manifest? Make sure you're embodying and feeling it. And okay, well, what's my limiting factor? Why can't I manifest that? Oh, it's because I have a money mindset problem. So there's a lot. It's a lot of awareness about your internal programming, and it's actually, I love it because it's a constant puzzle. You're just constantly unraveling yourself, trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to heal? What do I need to do to move forward? What's not working? And I love it.
You love it. Well, that's great. It's important to love what you're doing. We're going to take a break for some messages and be back in 2 minutes with Amy Ford. We're going to talk a little bit more about how she thinks anxiety is her superpower. Sounds fascinating. Stay with us, everybody. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I'm chatting tonight with Amy Ford. She is an intuitive energy coach, a psychic energy healer, a certified neuro-linguistic programming and life coach, a Reiki master, a personal trainer, and she specializes in somatic exercises. Amy, you said that anxiety is your superpower. How can anxiety be your superpower?
Because in hindsight, I was picking up on a lot of energies out there that I wasn't consciously aware of. But what I mean by that is there's a couple layers to this. One is,
Closer to the
sorry.
mic.
Oh, sorry. One is when you are listening to your intuition. Okay, so first of all, when you don't listen to your intuition, that probably gives you the most amount of anxiety. So when you do get anxiety, it's your body trying to send out alarms, just like alarm bells that something's off, something's not right. So it's important to start listening to what your body is trying to tell you. And one of those things is listening to your intuition. If you're not listening to your intuition, your body will send signals of anxiety, distress, unease, dis-ease, because something's not right. You're moving forward in a direction that doesn't feel good to you. And like I mentioned, it's like we're kind of programmed to not listen to our intuition. So we kind of get used to that feeling of misalignment. So when I really started realizing, like, okay, if I listen to my intuition, then, or if I don't listen to my intuition, this is how I feel. The other part to realizing that anxiety is my superpower is like now it's like anytime something feels off in my body, it's an energy coming in. It's something coming in. It's from a client. It's from a spirit. It's from this. It's from that. And I know and a lot of people might not be overly spiritual, but these energies are there. They're influencing. We're like in the sea of the spiritual world. So their energy is moving through us and leaving impressions of their energy field on our energy field. So being able to pick up on that and understanding, okay, what emotion is this? Where is it coming from? And using discernment is really important.
What's discernment?
Just asking questions, asking yourself, your inner self, questions as to why this feeling is there and what energy it's from.
You said that you need to increase your vibrational frequency. How and why do we need to raise our vibrational frequency?
So when you vibrate at a higher frequency, you're going to attract things at that frequency, which means if you are vibing low, everything in your life is a mirror. So then you're going to attract people at that frequency. So we raise our frequency by dropping traumas, by releasing some of the tension in our body, by cleaning our energy field, by improving our mindset. And eventually, like we start feeling and being happier, lighter, and then everything in our world starts to reflect and mirror what we're putting out there. So it's super important to raise our vibrational frequency, because if you want a better quality life or attract better mates or partners, then that's what you're going to start getting back.
So how do you do it?
Healing. Lots of healing.
Lots of healing. The deep work.
The deep work. So
okay. How do you tap into your intuition that you say is so important to listen to?
There's a couple little techniques that I like to tell my clients to start with, to try. And one of them is just finding your intuitive voice, right? Because we have the ego voice that's kind of like, it's like, I don't know, disruptive or trying to keep us stuck and safe. But our intuition is always going to have a positive undertone, very encouraging. We'll never talk like bad, but it's the inner knowing. It just knows things. So something that I like to do with my clients is just do like a couple practice techniques. And one of them is like, okay, so if my name is Amy, I'm going to close my eyes and say, is my name Amy? And then you hear like a yes, right? Because that's what it is. You can try this for yourself too. And then if I say, is my name Bob? Then I hear a no. That's your intuition. So if you take a minute, you at least get to hear or feel where that voice is coming from. How does it sound for you? How does it feel for you? Some people have, there's 4 kind of different ways your intuition can come through. Some people can see. Some people are very visual and can see everything. Some people hear, so they're auditory. some people feel the answers, and some people just know, they have that knowing. So it's about finding out which intuitive skill you have and really leaning into that one. So another practice I like to do is just like sitting around your house, okay, ask your intuition, like, what book and page number do you want me to read? And having a question, like you have a question in your mind, an intention of something you need answered, and you ask your intuition, what book, what page number do I need to read? And you wait for the response, and then you go and read it. And I cannot tell you how many times I've done that. And like the passage that I was like was sent to was like the exact thing that I needed to hear at that
So you
moment.
think your intuition gives you good advice? Does your intuition give you bad advice sometime?
I don't know. My intuition does not give me any bad advice, but
Really?
it's important to understand where it's coming from, right? Because you can it's easy to get mixed up between like your intuition and your ego and other people's opinions, and well, my mom said this and my brother said this, so it gets confusing when you start pulling in everybody else's opinions. So that's why it's very important to listen to your own intuition, your own voice, because when you start getting that overthinking and all of those other voices and opinions, it muddles it, right? So I've just found that if I'm listening to my intuition, then we're good.
How do you know it's your voice, not these other voices that you're listening to and hearing?
It's just practice. You just got to drop in and really start practicing and trusting. And intuition is like a muscle. The more you lean into it, the more you trust it, the more you follow it, the stronger and louder it's going to get. Now, if I go against my intuition, oh my gosh, then it's just like, oh, well, I don't know why I didn't listen there, because it's just like right away, you're like, bah. So
You said there's all these different energy fields. What kind of things affect our energy field?
there's a lot of things that can affect your energy field. Even like planetary alignment, solar flares, the quality of water you're drinking can affect your energy field. Spirits and entities can kind of come through and come like they're just there. Angelic frequencies. There's so many things, like your own thoughts, patterns, triggers, everything. So there's a lot. It's a lot of stuff because we're
Okay, so how do you rationalize it all? How do you only get the good ones or the clean ones, or what do you do?
you have to just clean. You just have an awareness, and fill your space up with light. Sage. I always recommend saging and cleaning your energy field. Just making sure you start your day. Bubble wrapping yourself in light, making sure that you are
What?
protected.
Bubble wrapping yourself in light?
Yeah, it's just like a nice protective method. And then when you're going out through your day, then at least you're not like it just bounces off. All the energy kind of bounces off of you instead of absorbing it. Remember when I mentioned at the beginning, I would go to the grocery store and just get flooded with all of this
Yep.
energy. If you bubble wrap yourself with light, at least it doesn't like penetrate you, kind of just like bounces off. It's like a protective shield. And I know it sounds woo-woo, but it actually really works because you have an electromagnetic field around you, and you can actually control what you allow in it. Like you control your light body, you control your energy field. So if you put up your shields, then you're good to go.
You say you specialize in somatic exercises. What are somatic exercises?
Somatic exercise is another useful tool to help move the trauma around and through your body. So when you do have stuck trauma, or say you've just gone through a period of like extreme stress, sometimes that stress can be stored in your body. It can increase your cortisol levels, and it just makes recovery a lot harder. So when you do somatic exercises, it's just a way for you to pause, slow down, and it's just gentle, like rocking motions. And it really helps to like calm and soothe the stressor responses in your body.
This is a fascinating conversation, and this has changed your life.
It's completely transformed and changed my life, and empowered me. And something that I thought was my biggest curse is now my biggest blessing, right? Because it's gotten me connected. I've feel protected, safe, intuitive. I'm helping people, which is my most favorite thing to do. I love healing sessions and just tapping into their energy field and being able to help them, because that's what I'm here for. It's amazing. It's amazing. I love it.
So are you a different person today than you were a decade ago? Or is this the real
Completely.
person that's come through that was always there?
It's the real version of me that's always been there. But people who see me now, they're like, oh my God, like, who are you? What's going on? And I'm like, this is me. Like, take it or leave it. So I am very, very happy with um all of everything. Like it's one of those things too. It's like every trauma, everything that I've been through, it's like if that didn't happen, it wouldn't have brought me here. So everything is a lesson. Everything is to help grow, mold you, become self-aware, and understand that you control your energy and your destiny.
So are you saying the trauma, the trauma and the separation and things like that were actually helpful to you?
Yeah, well, it makes you who you are, right? So it really does make you who you are. And now I can use everything that I've gone through to heal others who have gone through the same thing and empower them and help them, because I've gone through some crazy things in my life. And it's like it's now to help others, right? You heal yourself, and then you heal others.
So I did do this one Reiki session where someone put their hands above my body and were trying to give me some energy. I didn't feel anything. Why? Is that they weren't doing it right, or I wasn't accepting of it, or it doesn't exist?
It's a little bit of both. Okay, if you think it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. You are going to be consciously aware of anything you want to be consciously aware of. However, there is different levels of Reiki. And this is something that I've learned just recently, right? You can have a Reiki master who can, it's like playing a piano. Like, okay, what can you play on a piano? Or there's some people who can play Mozart on the piano, right? Like there's just different, everybody can play beautifully on the piano, but it's just different levels, right? I recently had Reiki done the other week. I'm trying like just to find someone, and I'm like, okay, I had to undo the Reiki, right? It just depends on where they're pulling their light from, their frequency, their body frequency, right? Like there's so much into it, and your energy has to match with the other person's energy too. So that's like a big thing. It's like energy, and your energy is actually very sensitive. So if you don't vibe with the person, and if you're not open to it, you're really not going to feel it. I'll do Reiki on you. You'll see that I'll give you some of my light.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. I'd like to experience. I actually want to take a break and come back with some concluding comments. And I want to ask you, how do you know this is real? So, I'm intrigued by a lot of what we've talked about today, and I'm a real believer in manifesting. And I'll give you the one story that I've told a few times, and that is that I went to Harvard Business School, and my first marketing exam I flunked, and I was very upset. I did well in my undergraduate and thought I would do well in my graduate, and this looked like I didn't. And that day, I decided that I was going to work a lot harder, and I wrote down that I was going to be a George Baker Scholar, which is the one award they give out at Harvard Business School. And I put it on a piece of cardboard that you get, in dry cleaning, and I put it on the wall, and I read it every day. And 2 years later, or a year and a half later, I was a George Baker Scholar. And I think it was some combination of the failure, the resolution that I wasn't going to live to that failure, and that I was going to do something different. I worked damn hard, but it also was this manifestation that I wrote it down and I put it on the board and I looked at it every day. And so I'm a real believer in some of the things that you talk about. But then I mentioned it to my kids and they go, "Oh, Dad, you're woo-woo. That's the woo-woo stuff. And oh, the woo-woo sisters. And what are you talking about?" So is this real? Let's take a break and come back and ask you, how do I know this is real? Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes with Amy Ford. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. My guest tonight is Amy Ford, and she is a really interesting person. She's gone through some trauma in her life, some assault and some other issues that she's talked about, a separation, etc. And she was an individual who couldn't leave her house for 5 or so years, where she would get incredibly anxious. And she's come out of all that and solved all that through finding herself through intuitive energy, through psychic energy, through neuro-linguistic programming, through Reiki, through it sounds like jujitsu competitions as well. A whole bunch of different things that you're doing, and now you're being a coach to teach it to others. And as I said before the break, I'm a believer in some of the things, but I'm skeptical as well in some of the other things that you talked about. And my kids call it the woo-woo stuff. So they're very unbelieving in a lot of the things we chatted about tonight. So let me ask you, is it real? How do I know it's real? How do you know it's real?
Do you want it to be real? It's not only that.
Well, I believe,
Trusting.
I believe manifesting is real. I don't believe in the secret stuff that you just have to say it and it'll happen.
Yeah,
But I believe if
it's
you
way more
say,
than that.
I'm incompetent, I'm incapable, I don't have that experience, I'll never get that job, you won't get that job. But if you're confident and you say, I've got all the skills and all the ability and I can do this job, the chances are you'll be able to do that job or get that job. So there's something about optimism. There's a lot about confidence. Whether that's manifestation or not, I'm not sure, but it's something close to it. If you say you're worthy of a fantastic relationship, you're probably going to have a fantastic relationship. If you say you're not worthy of a great relationship, you're probably never going to have a great relationship. You'll do something to self-sabotage it. So I believe in some of the things you talk about. I don't know if I believe in your subconscious that you come up with some really great ideas. I used to work for Jim Pattison. He was a $7 billion billionaire at the time. I think he's dramatically more than that. And he would say, in every decision, let's sleep on it and come back in the morning and see if we come up with a decision. And so he would make a decision that was very analytical one day, and then he would see if he, I guess through his intuition or his dreams or just, a second thought, came to a different point of view on a major acquisition or financing or business decision by the next day. And so, that's something that I learned, is that you got to listen to that second opinion, that second voice. So some of what you're talking about, I believe. I'm not sure about Reiki. I'm not sure about hypnotherapy. I'm not sure if you've got, the ability to read my energy, but I'm intrigued by it. So tell me, how do you know it's real?
Because external validation, and also there's been some experiences that you just can't deny. So when a client comes and I don't know anything about them, I have no idea. I've never met them before in my life, but they sit down and I know that they've had a family member die suddenly, and I know that they have anemia, and I know that they had 3 vaccines. I just know it and I say it and they're like, yeah, that's true. Yes, it's true. I just got a blood. Like, everything is on their energy field. It's stored in your energy field. So intuitive, and there's a lot of us out there, and any intuitive out there can channel all of these energies and just kind of like read you with permission, of course, right? I don't just go out there and just read it. It's too much energy. But it's a way of healing that's been done out in the Eastern Hemisphere since the beginning of time. It's actually quite popular out there. And for whatever reason, out here in the West, it's kind of like woo-wooed or crazy, or I don't believe it, but there is truth to it, right? And it's really nice. It is one of those things, though. It's like you can block yourself off to the experience, and if that's fine, like, that's okay. But you actually need to be open to it, right? Like, if you're going to feel like nothing's ever going to work and you're going to cling on to your traumas and all of your negative energy, then it's going to be really hard for you to let go of it in any form of healing, because you're kind of attaching yourself to your traumas and your health issues, right? Some people actually really do adopt them as their identity. But if you're willing to let go,
you're right. Some people do adopt their traumas as their identity. No question.
Yeah. 100%. But if you're ready and willing to like let go and be like, I'm done with this, like, somebody take it, then energy work beautifully. And it's something that is very Oh, it's so therapeutic and it feels so good. And every single client, I had a client come and she was in so much distress and she left with a smile on her face because of the work that we did together. It's a combination of the energy that I put in, the energy that I pick up and out of your body, and also my energy of filling the room, right? So there's so much energy. It's just energy. It's literally just energy.
Amy Ford, if people that are listening want to contact you and avail themselves of your services, how do they best do that?
I'm on Instagram and on Facebook.
Amy Ford, thank you so much for joining
Amy
us.
Ford.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Kind
Thank
of
you.
interesting, kind of fun.
Yeah.
That's our show for tonight, everybody. Have a great weekend. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock. You can stream me online at www.saga960am.ca, even from Barrie, Ontario, where Amy Ford is. Good night, everybody.